Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, I'm Elaina. Привет! I'm your Russian American makeup and beauty addict. I usually do reviews and tutorials of affordable, inexpensive makeup, but in today's video I'm doing a get ready with me question and answer. I asked two people asked me some questions on Instagram and stories and messages. That's pretty much my patrons and my friends and my subscribers. So I'm going to be answering some questions. If you guys new to my channel, if you just want to get to know me better, keep on watching. I'm going to be doing this look with Morphe 39S palette, which I never used before. So I'm going to be doing this and chatting. So if you guys are interested, keep on watching. Don't forget to subscribe and ring notification bell for all notifications. I upload 3 times a week on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, and also go live every Monday. I have Instagram, Twitter, the links are down in the description box, as well as my Patreon group. So let's get right into this question answer. Alright, let's start with a few first questions. As you can see, I did one eye off camera to speed up things, and the other eye is already covered in P. Louise base, Room 05, and I'm using the beautiful Morphe palette. It's not a tutorial, obviously, but I'm just gonna show you. I haven't touched it yet. This is not a new palette, but I haven't touched it and I bought it a while ago. But there are other things happening, so of course it went in the back burner. Anyway, so I'm going to start with a deep purple shade and a small spectrum brush. I'm going to do this halo eye. And by the way, this is a redemption for my life. I did a live where I did play with a simple beauty palette that did not want to blend, and I struggled and I was it's not working. So the redemption worked out well for me. Alright, so the questions I received, the most common question was pretty much how I met my husband. So one of them says, how did you meet your hubby? What's your love story? Another one says, how did you meet your partner? Where have you and John met? And why did you move to America of all places? Which covers it all. My answer is going to cover it all. So anyway, so I did this in my previous video, but I'm going to repeat myself because I love this story. I'm going to tell you again. So I met my husband on the internet, which kind of sums it all in the one short sentence, but here's the deal. What had happened was, I was about 21-ish, right? 21, 22. I was working as an interpreter at a dating service. Well, first of all, I started studying English at the college, like a night school for adults, and I took it for 2 years. I always wanted to study English, and I wanted to work as an interpreter, and one thing to another, I was very picky picking my boyfriends. I didn't have many. I was pretty inexperienced, but I was shy on the other hand too, and it was hard for me to meet guys. So I decided to go the internet route, and some of my friends met the guys from abroad, so I thought it was a cool idea, and it was adventurous, you know. I was always adventurous. I kind of grew up as a mama's and papa's daughter, very home girl. I didn't go anywhere for a while, so I wanted to like break out and rebel, you know. So I broke out, all right. I grew up in Moldova, you know, former Soviet Union. I'm Russian, as you can imagine, and I wanted to do something adventurous. So I'm like, well, I want to meet a guy from a country. And since I spoke English, I learned English enough to be able to communicate. I decided to pick English-speaking countries. That's why America. I had a few guys writing to me. That was the time, by the way, guys. I'm gonna age myself. It was 1997, 98. That's when we had this dial-up speed internet, and the one that goes, I'm gonna insert the side effect if you never heard it before. Very annoying. But anyway, very slow internets, and nobody had it. People in my country are pretty poor anyway, so nobody could afford a computer. not talking about internet. I did not have a computer at home, so I would come to the agency and respond there, or would bring a diskette, if you know what that is. I'll type an answer on my father's computer at work, put it on the diskette, bring the diskette to the agency, and respond. Yes, that's how we emailed back then. But anyway, so that's how backwards things were. But I did meet a few guys. One was from England, one was from, I think it was one from Australia, if I don't remember. I think it was somebody, and a couple from England were writing to me in Canada. I think it was a Canadian guy, and a couple from America. I was very picky. And of course, at that age, the looks are more important than the substance. Let's be honest. I mean, when you look at the picture, you care about the picture first, right? And then you get to the substance, and somebody in an a-hole, of course, you're not gonna write to him, but we're visual creatures, we're attracted to something visual. And there's a lot of older men that write to Russian women. I had a lot of older men write to me, like, for me, I'm 46 now. I'm just thinking back then there are some men in the 40, like 30-something, 40, who would write to me. I was like, that's an old fart. I don't want to write to him. I'm just laughing now because I feel like a young girl myself now. But back then, 40-something would be an old fart. But of course, I mean, what's a 40-year-old doing writing to a 20-year-old girl? Anyway, so at that time I was like, no, not gonna work. So the couple young ones wrote to me. One from England was 27-year-old. Then it was one younger than John. It was like my age. John is 3 years older than me, 3.5. And one guy was my age, and he had an attractive headshot. He looked like, well, he had a glamour shot. He looked like a movie star, I thought. And I was dreaming about him. I was like, oh, he looked so attractive. I was like, he could write letters. Oh, he was so romantic. He could write like nobody's business. It was like novels. And I was drooling over him. It was like a dream romance. But when he came to visit me in person in Moldova, I couldn't wait to get rid of him. No, I mean, he was nice on the first look, but we kind of didn't match. And like, he was just so different in person. It was completely turned off. So I'm going to pinks now. So yeah, that proves the point. The people, one way in letters, so internet, emails, but totally different way in real life. So that did not work out. And then there was the English guy that was very nice. He was a professor, a young professor. He was like 27. But for me, I was 21, 22. And 27 was too old already. But I think it was because my parents, they had the age difference of 19 years. And my dad always looked young. That's why my mom, like, she didn't know that he was older. But they had such different interests. And I always said to myself, I don't want to end up like having a husband not much older. That's so vastly different, you know, in mindset. So I wanted a guy my age. So the British guy was okay, but you know, he was very slow. I don't know if it's a true thing that the British people are very reserved. He was very reserved, and he would not say, "You want to visit me?" Like, are you gonna come to visit? Are you gonna come to visit? And it never ended up with anything. So I'm like, well, whoever comes next, we'll see how I'm gonna connect. And then John arrived. John wrote to me. I thought he was attractive, but I'm a very picky bitch. And I had my things like, I don't like facial hair. I don't like this. My mom had to straighten me out. She was like, he's a nice guy, write to him. So I was attracted to him in letters, although he was very reserved in letters. It was hard to drag information out of him. But what was different about him, that when I met him in person, I connected with him immediately. There's something about your person that you know it's your person when you see them. And he came to visit because technically he already had a planned trip, I think, to Europe. So he went to Europe and he visited me after the trip. I met him at the airport. I still remember. I think I was wearing that red dress. I don't really like red, but it was the nicest dress I had. And it's like I saw him, he saw me, and I think I was like, somehow I knew I'm gonna connect to him. I don't know how it works, but you call it love at first sight or whatever it is, it worked out. So we met in person, and after writing to each other for a while, there was another contender. I also thought it was funny. There was another girl that wrote to him from the same agency, a Russian girl. And I knew because I was an interpreter, so I was interpreting letters for her too. I was that nosy bee. I knew everything. I was like, oh, there's another one writing to him. But she was kind of like, well, it's okay, you can have him because I want a guy with money. He's not making any money. We knew what he does for a living. And she was more materialistic, I guess. I mean, you can't blame her, but I didn't care. I'm like, no, I'll take him. So that was the exchange between us. And I'm glad I got him. So I think we both connected immediately. And he wanted to take me back to America immediately. And it was so romantic. Like, he wanted to go immediately. But of course, it doesn't work that way. Because you have to, like, apply for a visa and everything. So I applied for a fiancé visa. It gives you 3 months. Oh yeah, he proposed. He was there 10 days, and he proposed like on the 3rd day or 4th day, something like that. And the rest is history. We spent a lot of time with my relatives. He met everybody, and then we spent about 3 months collecting the paperwork. And I went to Romania because the immigration agency in Romania is the only one that does those visas, and Moldova didn't, so I had to go to another country. That was a whole thing itself, like traveling to Romania to get it. So, and then I came to US and we got married pretty much within a couple of months. We didn't have money for wedding, so we went to court, and we had the wedding at the parking lot. Our friends bought us cake, and they had cake on the hood of the car. So I'm inserting some pictures here so you can see the receipts of us with a cake if I find those pictures. So I think I have pictures. I took pictures of the pictures, so I'm going to insert here. So yeah, that was very romantic. I'm going for the black now. The black in this palette has a little bit of glitter in it. Kind of reminds me of Jefferson Starship Black from his purple palette. So yeah, that's pretty much, yeah, I love the story. I can tell it over and over again because I think we've been together since 1998 and it's 2001. So at the end of this year, it's going to be 23-year anniversary. And I'm very proud of it. We love each other, and now we have a little baby child. If you don't know what I mean, we have a cat now. That's our precious child. I have hormonal issues, so we never had a child. So my kitty is my baby. We have a perfect family, 3 of us. Me, Papa, and a cat. And I'm the crazy cat lady. I went completely off the topic because nobody asked me about my cat. But you know, don't ask me about my cat, but I'm gonna tell you everything about it. Because my cat is my life. I'm just blending all the colors now, purples and pinks. This palette has amazing mattes, guys. Amazing mattes. Alright, so another question that leads to my past is, I was asked, what were you like as a child? I guess it's like a general question. I know I was a very quiet kid, like a non-problematic, not troublemaker. My mom never had trouble with me. I was pretty boring because I grew up as an only child, as my husband did too. They were both spoiled brats, pretty much. So my mom and dad like spoiled me, and I didn't have any siblings. So, but I never acted out. So I was like a very quiet child. And my cousin grew up as the only child too. So she's like almost the same age as me. She's like 6 months older. So she went to school before I did. So she was 1 year ahead of me in school. And when she went to school, we kind of lost. I mean, we're still very close, but the older we got, we didn't meet as often. Because when we grew up, me and her, we don't look alike. But when we were kids, they dressed us the same. And sometimes, like twins, like they dress twins the same. They would dress us the same. People would think we're twins, so it was adorable. But yeah, my cousin Oля, I still miss her. She's back in my country. But anyway, when we got together, she was more adventurous, I would say. So when us two got together, we'd always get in trouble. When I was alone, well, I was quiet. When she was alone, she was quiet. We'd get together and two kids, that's it. Everything was going down to hell. But other than that, yeah, I studied well. I had best grades in school. I was like that nerdy child that has to have the best grades, and I was having high expectations, frequent migraines from studying too much. I was that nervous, anxious child that has to know everything. And then I was not popular at school at all. I was that kind of slightly bullied, nerdy kid that people would only ask for homework to copy, but other than that, I had nerdy friends, and pretty much I was away from popular kids, so school was not my favorite thing. I was pretty miserable there. Like, you would know who was a nerd and who was not, so I was one of the nerds. And I think when I finished high school, I went completely off the chain because I was so tired of being Miss Perfect. But that's for another story, for another video. Anyway, so another question was, how was it difficult immigrating and leaving the home country? Yes, it was very difficult. On one hand, I have this kind of character that I don't get scared of changes. Like, I go all in. Like, I was moving to another country. I'll move to another country. Everybody was like, you know, you live in like in a week. Like, I had my airline tickets and everything. And I was like, so what? Big deal. I'll come to visit. Let me get another brush. I need to highlight my brow bone. Almost forgot about it. Get something small for that. And I'll get some. Oh, there's a light tone here. Let's see. Oh, that's so pretty. I got distracted from what I was saying with a highlight. I'm using highlight from 2 light colors in the palette. I don't feel like lifting it. Yeah, so as I was saying, like, I was prepared and I wasn't like feeling like I'm gonna miss anything. But in reality, when I did move, although I did love John and everything, I felt homesick. I did. Not like homesick for my country, because I wasn't attached to life in Moldova that much. Because Moldova is not a very exciting place to live, to be honest. Nothing against Moldova, but I mean, to me it was kind of boring. So America was way more exciting, but you miss the people, you don't miss the place, right? So I miss my mom, I miss my dad, I miss my cousin Olga, I miss my friends, you know. I miss them. And they were, like, you know, now looking back, I think I was deeply depressed. Like, I think I was seriously deeply depressed. I just didn't realize it. But I was happy on one hand, but depressed on the other, which, like, hard to explain. Because first you get excited about the change. Like, everything was so exciting and so different. And I was like, I was so happy about things and meeting John's friends and like getting jobs and getting friends. It was all exciting. But on the other hand, I was missing home. So it was like push and pull, 2 different sides of the story. So yeah. And the same person asked me, well, another person. I'm not saying who, because I'm not sure if you guys want to stay anonymous, so I'm just not gonna say the names, I guess. I don't know. How did you learn English? Well, I already mentioned that. I learned it in high school. You know, the way they teach you don't really learn that well. You learn a lot of words if you study, which I studied a lot. As I mentioned, I was a nerd. So I learned a lot of vocabulary, but I could not put it together in sentences. Like, my grammar wasn't great. I didn't really learn how to form correct sentences. So that's why I went to the college, 2-year college, and I learned English. I studied pretty well. I learned English well. And yeah. What was the biggest culture shock when you moved to the States? culture shock? Everything, because everything is so different. Like the way people live, everything's totally different. Like you would think this is very simple, but even going out to restaurants, like we don't go out to restaurants that much. Well, maybe now they do, but when I grew up, everybody cooked at home. Like in Soviet Union, we have this thing in my friends group that I started with. In Soviet Union, we did not have dot dot dot, but it's true because the life was so different. It's like it was a tradition. Like people, most of the middle class, we ate at home. Like we don't eat out. I don't think I ever ate out until I was at a certain age. You know, it's like that was a culture shock. Like everybody's constantly going out, having restaurant meals, and air conditioning. Although I do love air conditioning now, and I cannot imagine living without air conditioning. In Florida, I moved to Florida. That's where John lived, and Florida is very highly air conditioned because it's hot as hell there. It's hot and humid. So going from inside to outside, I was always bringing literally almost a coat to the restaurants, to every place, because I was freezing. I was like, why is it so cold everywhere? Why is it so necessary? Now I'm like, I can't without the air conditioning because I'm so used to it. And another thing, the ice and all the drinks. Like, I still don't like ice in drinks. And that's the thing, like I never got used to icy drinks. And here, everybody has ice. And everything, like driving, for example, that's a culture shock. Because when you live, well, it's like if you're a New Yorker, you know, because a lot of New Yorkers don't drive either. That's why I love New York when I lived there. When I moved to Florida, I would take a bus to teach in the gym because I got a job at Bally Total Fitness. That was my first job, one of the first jobs. I worked in McDonald's downstairs, and then I was teaching upstairs at Bally's, and the same people, so some people that ate downstairs and go to work out upstairs. And like, I've got the receipts, you eating fattening foods. Anyway, yeah, so I would have to wait for a bus sometimes for like half hour or an hour. And then the trip would be like another half hour, an hour. It would take me like 4 or 5 hours just to teach one class, to go there and back. And trip would take me probably 15 minutes by car. Because public transportation in Florida is horrible, just horrible. Because it's not meant for that, you know, people drive. And it's like to get anywhere by bus is nearly impossible. So that was very inconvenient. So I couldn't wait to learn how to drive. Because I never needed it until I moved there, and then I was like, holy cow, I'm like the only person on the streets, there's nobody there but me, walking around, waiting for the bus. Yeah, that was a culture shock as well. There's a lot of things. I can't even come up with the answer now, but I mean, like everything was different, everything. What else? Where is your dream place to live? Well, dream place to live. That was very interesting because I have a few answers for that. If you can dream without money or budget limits, like no limits at all. Okay. Well, although I'm in LA now, I'm a New Yorker at heart. And like New York is the place where I feel home. So if I could live in Manhattan, in a top high-rise, in a condo, in a penthouse, in Midtown, or Chelsea. I love Chelsea, I love Midtown, I love Upper East Side too, but like I love Midtown, everything going on, and Chelsea there, you know, West Chelsea, East Chelsea, I love everything about, maybe West Chelsea is real cool. But all the way up there, in a condo, in Manhattan, overlooking Hudson River, and having a grocery store downstairs so I don't have to go too far. And I have a driver, and I have a car will take me everywhere so I don't have to go to Subway. That would be my dream place to be. Or the same thing, but in London. I love London for the same reason, because it reminds me of New York, but it is in Europe. And I like Europe for a lot of different reasons, because my best friends are in Europe, so I always feel like I want to live there. And also free healthcare, like duh, who doesn't want to be? have free healthcare. The next question is vampy or pastel. By the way, I need to keep going because if I keep answering questions and not doing anything, this video is gonna take forever and I'll never get to anything. Let me prep my eyelid for the halo and I'll be back. Okay, so put some P. base in the middle of my lid and we're gonna redeem ourselves from that miserable life. That was probably the worst life ever. Anyway, so I'm gonna go for the shades. I'm gonna lift the palette and actually show you what I've been doing. I've been using this, did highlight with this too. And black, of course, I added that. So now I'm gonna kind of go in between all the shimmers. I don't use my finger for shimmers. Rebecca told me use your fingers. Look at these suckers. I'm gonna poke my eyeballs out. So I'm gonna use a brush. So this, because I'm planning to put some glitter in the middle, like this eyelid does not have glitter and it still looks pretty, but I might still add glitter. So I'm gonna add this and this together, this and pink on top. So just taking Morphe flat brush. So one of the questions was, where have you just met and why did you move to America of all places? I already answered that in all the how I didn't meet your husband. And the other question is, so the question is vampy or pastel? Very simple. So I guess about makeup looks, I mean vampy all day long. I mean, look at me. I'm an extra person that has a glitter and rhinestones every single time. So almost every single time. Definitely vampy. And the next question, what would be your drag name? Huh. Well, I've been thinking about it since I'm doing the drag series on my channel. You know, I really want it to be something special and I don't want to settle on something. I'm thinking about it as if I'm about to do drag for a career, but I want it to be special. And drag name should summarize your essence, right? So I was thinking for people who know me, as a funny name would be Anita Carrot. Hear me out. On my life, I was a year ago, it was a Zoom meeting with my friends. So we all got dressed up. It was my birthday. I got drunk for my birthday on a bottle of wine. I barely ever drink, so I got drunk real fast. And it was in the middle of the day here because for UK it was night. So I was drunk at 1 p.m. without lunch. And I started to snack on carrots. And I said, I need something to snack on. And people like eating pizza and stuff. I'm like, let me get some carrots. I'm snacking on a raw bag of carrots. So ever since then, my Patreon group is called Fluffy Carrots. Fluffy Glam carrots, anyway. So that's why I need a carrot. Like, I need a carrot. I need a carrot. But nobody would know what I'm references to. And I need some more glamorous. So I was thinking something like La Diva Sparkle or La Diva Diamond. Or La Diva, something with Diva, or Lala, what was I saying, John? Oh, Lala Deluxe. I love that. Lala Deluxe or La Diva Deluxe. I think that would be close to my essence of my drag. Sorry, alarm is on. So we were rudely interrupted by alarm in our building and my cat just almost had a coronary. Poor thing, baby got so scared. Anyway, so back to the question. So as I said, my drag name, I guess, would be, right now I'm thinking something like La Diva Deluxe. It sounds very bougie. So we go into the next questions. By the way, I almost finished this eye off camera. I put some kids eyelashes on. I didn't want to put anything too big because I don't want this look to be out of control. I want to be able to see what's on my eyelid. And I did end up putting glitter on the other eye. So I'm going for the bougie. Almost lost it. For the bougie Urban Decay Heavy Metal in the color Grind. It's like a light pink. And I think it suits perfectly here. So the next question, I'm just scrolling to another page of different questions. If you could pick one makeup brand to use for the rest of your life, what would you choose? This is a very difficult question. I used to say Makeup Revolution. But lately I've tried so many nice different brands and I have so many different picks. It's like it's hard to pick just a brand because some brands have great palettes, but they don't really make any foundation, you know, any foundation or concealer. And some brands have great face products, but not great makeup palettes like eyeshadow palettes. So I would still say Revolution, I guess, because they have like sub brands like Revolution Pro and XX Revolution that has better quality than regular, and the foundations are very good. So like, and because just because they have everything, and I do like them, so I think I would just choose Makeup Revolution. Yeah, that glitter just adds something extra. Just what I needed. Although I find this Morphe 39S eyeshadow palette overall, the shimmers actually showed up. I thought they were not that great, but they do show up real nicely. Alright, I think we are ready to move on to skin. Let me moisturize, prime, and I'll be back. So I'll prime with the e.l.f. primer, the Poreless Luminous Putty Primer. I'm gonna go with a Morphe foundation because it's a Morphe palette, and this is the old foundation that I thought I was gonna hate, and now I like it. It's a little yellow because I picked it online, but it works at the end, you'll see. It's F2.110, and we're gonna go with it. So next question is, what's ultimate bougie piece of makeup on your wish list? Well, I'm not a bougie bee, and to be honest, it's not even about not willing to spend money. It's kind of like I'm just not used to it, and I feel like makeup should not be expensive to be good. You know, just my feelings. But I've tried some bougie makeup thanks to Teresa and Miss, and I see why it's bougie. So I would say like maybe a full-size Natasha Denona palette, something in my color scheme, like a pinks, purples. Or, oh, the skin products, maybe like a Charlotte Tilbury foundation and powder, you know, because I don't have like high-end powder. Yeah, I don't have any high-end powder. It would be interesting to see like skin products, something like that, I guess. Yeah, there are a lot of bougie brands that I don't have. It's easier to say what I do have out of cheap makeup, and I enjoy it. I mean, there's nothing wrong with it. But I do have some ABH stuff that's great, like ABH foundation, ABH palettes. So I do understand that the quality is great, but on the other hand, I have some Profusion palettes and I have some Revolution palettes that just almost as good. So, you know. So next, best and worst things about LA life. Well, let's start with best. Obviously, the weather. So I love New York, and I'm still gonna be New Yorker at heart, even though I'm in LA now. But the weather in New York is just ratchet. It's awful. It's cold, it's miserable, it's hot in summer and humid, and it's cold in winter. It's cold, 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 and they don't have any spring. You have a snowstorm in March or April. All of a sudden you get summer. So there's like a real bad cold, and then hot. This kind of sucks. LA, it's hot, but it's dry, and it's beautiful winter. Cool, but not cold. It's just perfect. The weather is just perfect to me. I like dry weather. I like to be able to cycle all year round, so that's great. But the prices, of course. I mean, LA is, the rent's probably less expensive than New York. Like, I would say it's less, because we pay a lot less for a downtown apartment that's real high end, but in New York we would never pay that. But the prices for housing, like to buy a home, out of this world. I don't know if we'll ever be able to own anything. And like the taxes are high, and also the homeless. It's awful the way the city, the county, and the whole state is not taking care of the homeless problem. The homeless are on the streets literally everywhere. The Skid Row that everybody heard about. There's a lot of people with mental illness and drug problems. You just see them all over in tents, living right in the middle of the street everywhere, and nobody's doing anything about it. There's no social help for them, clearly, because they're just everywhere. It just hurts my heart, breaks my heart to see so many people. And it's like the country is not taking care of their citizens. At least a year. It's terrible. Just terrible. So yeah, that's the worst things probably. Uh, so that's what comes to mind. Also, the same person gave me a lot of questions, and thank you, Daniela. You know who you are. I'm gonna out you now. So, what hobbies do you enjoy that aren't PT or makeup? Well, obviously, I'm a former fitness instructor, and I'm gonna tell you why former at the end of this video. And makeup. Actually, I don't have many hobbies. I love cycling, but this is exercise. But this is like I enjoy the scenery, and it's not low impact, so I can do it easily. And I used to love singing. You might not know that, but I used to take voice lessons. I would go karaoke like a few nights a week in my 20s when I lived in Miami, and I had pretty decent voice. I sang Mariah music, not like Mariah, don't take it wrong. But, you know, I could sing well. I took singing lessons. My voice teacher didn't say, she said my voice is better suited for opera than pop. I had like different songs prepared for competitions, but my heart wasn't in opera, so I never went for any competitions or anything because I was like, you know, kind of like I just not feeling it. So, but then I got spasmodic dysphonia. You can hear it in my voice. When I talk for a while, I start to choke, and I choke on vowels first because I have abductor, the one that your vocal cords stay open in vowels and they don't close. That's why some vowels come out silent because I pretty much choke on them. So yeah, it's very difficult. It's kind of very uncomfortable too because I feel like I'm choking in the hair. And yeah, so that happened and I could not sing anymore. Actually, speaking was worse than singing, but now I don't have singing voice either because I just choke. Yeah, that sucks, but that was my hobby. And hair. I did hair for a living, and now hair is my hobby. I do my hair, I enjoy doing different things to it. I'm trying to keep it blonde for now because I'm tired of whacking my hair, but that was like, I was good at hair. I was good. When I was doing hair, my clients were hugged, all kind of different colors. That was fun. So the Morphe concealer in the color C1.55, and as I was saying, the foundation is so deep, but the concealer is so pale, so it kind of works itself out. So yeah. So then she said also, how did you meet your hobby? I already answered it. And how and why did you move to LA? Well, first of all, we moved so many places. If you guys are not aware, I mean, obviously I'm from Moldova, so I moved directly to Miami first when we met, because that's where he lived. And he worked as a regular data entry for tax credits. So we were real poor for the longest time. But his dream was always to be a pilot because his dad was in the Air Force. So he always told me, like, no matter what, I always end up as a pilot. So the industry was hard to get into, like there was not a lot of jobs for inexperienced pilots. So for a while he could not get in it. But eventually, it was a long story, but eventually he got into like a low-end job, like cargo, real low pay, but it was good experience. So, you know, he got more and more experience and he moved on to a small jet plane, so on and so forth. But we moved for better jobs pretty much for him, because as a fitness instructor I could work anywhere, but as a pilot you have to like hustle. So he got a job in Istanbul. That's how we started all this crazy traveling. So Istanbul was just an American plane, so we moved there for a short amount of time. That was not very successful. The business wrapped up and we kind of counted our losses and moved back. And then he got a job in Atlanta. We moved from Florida to Atlanta and eventually rented out our condo in Florida, and we just rented because I had to rent ourselves. And then out of Atlanta, it was my dream place in New York. And I was happy, I love New York, but eventually It got old. John never liked New York. It's too cold. It's too expensive. Everything is old. You don't never get any nice modern buildings to live in unless you have lots of money. So yeah, we moved to Las Vegas for another job. And then I hated Vegas with all my guts. I didn't like it at all. I met a bunch of nice people. I'm still friends with them, which was the best part. The dance community was the best. But I did not like, there's some weird like feeling, like it's a long story, I just didn't like it. And we moved back to New York. He got his old job back and I was happy again. But again, it ended up the same story. He was getting tired of it. I was getting tired of Subway, and he got transferred. Pretty much, long story short, it was the same company. They just had planes in Los Angeles, so there was transfer and a promotion. He got more money, and we got to LA. But then COVID happened, and they sold the plane, so John lost the job. So now he got a job, somebody else, just an owner, with no benefits and stuff. So now we are the self-paying health insurance people. So yeah, so that's how we moved to LA. And when was the last time you were back in Russia, and do you go back to visit? I do go back to visit. The last time I was there in 2018. And I went to visit my mom in the middle of January in cold because she broke her arm. She has dementia. And it's like it comes and goes, it kind of gets worse and better. She falls very often. She falls and breaks stuff, you know. So yeah, that was the time she broke her arm, and I came over there. And then we're planning to come to visit last year in 2020. But then COVID happened and we couldn't go because Moldova was very infected. Because a lot of Italians went there. I mean, Moldovans work in Italy. So they had a lot of influx from Italy. So my mom like, don't come. So we ended up losing our tickets and going to Ireland instead. So that's how I got to see Teresa. So there's something good came out of it. So we didn't go to Italy. We went to Ireland. And I met Teresa and Anne-Marie, my two good Judies. And yeah, so that was a story. Well, the last time I went to Moldova, Russia. I mean, it's not Russia, but technically it used to be part of Soviet Union. So I added a little bit of LA Girl Pro Concealer's Contour. And this is in the shade, if you're interested in the shade Suede. It's like really bronzy. It's not too warm, but it's not too cool. I think it's very good. And I set my face already just for the speed of this. So for the inner corner highlight, I use the same pink eyeshadow from Morphe palette. Now I'm gonna bronze. So the next question, let's move to the questions because it's not a tutorial. Oh yeah, so what's the main thing you miss about living in Europe? So it's hard to tell. Because, well, first of all, I'm using Ace Beauty bronzing palette. First of all, the first thing that comes to mind, clearly, because we're struggling now with health expenses. Health insurance, duh. Free healthcare. There is nothing beats free healthcare. And in America, you have to be hired full-time by employer, gives you full benefits. And I've always been part-time in different gyms. So if you work with different gyms, I might be working a lot of hours, but I have no insurance because it's part-time in every single gym. So Jahan, most of the time, had insurance when you work for it's like a private jet owner management company. So they had benefits in New York and here, but now with this private owner, there's no benefits. So when you work for a private owner as a contractor, so there is no benefit, so you have to buy an insurance, and insurance is very expensive, and it covers barely anything. And well, first when I moved, I missed my friends, but now I have my friends here, so yeah, that's the first thing that comes to mind now. I'll also wait. Good fruit and vegetables. In America, fruit and vegetables, like, I don't know how they grow them, or maybe they store them, like refrigerated for a long time, but fruit doesn't smell so juicy and so fragrant like it does. And when I go back to my country, you go to the market, everything has like fragrance, like plums, peaches. They're so great. Here it's like meh, kind of like just a few things that you can eat here out of fruit. Everything else is so tasteless. Like I find fruit in Europe is the best. Did you find it hard adjusting living in USA when you first moved? Oh yeah, so that was one of the questions was, were you missing your country? Yeah. It was hard to adjust. Some things I found easy, but some things like, you know, just missing my friends and my mom and my dad, because I was like a real mama's girl, like a real mama's girl. For the blush, I'm gonna use the Bougie Natasha Denona. It's pinkish, so it's kind of gonna go with a cool tone eyeshadow. Yeah, so adjusting was difficult just because I was like really down because I was missing stuff. I mean stuff, people. And also like I said, mentioned before, driving, other things like everything's different. Fast food. People eat a lot of crap food that we don't have in my country. Like, why eating this garbage, people? It's literally toxic chemicals and stuff. And I still have the same opinion about it. Except they now have fast food in my country too. So, there goes the health. Alright, so what else? If you could do any job in the world, what would it be? That's a good question. Well, if it's like all considered, like if I didn't have my current health conditions that I do, it would be probably a singer because I really loved to sing before, and that would have been my dream job. But you know, it's even if I did have a voice, if I didn't have spasmodic dysphonia, it's still like very few people become singers as a job, because it's just hard to make it even if you have talent. So yeah, but you know, just like in general, that would be it. Or would be a dancer, because I loved dancing before my injuries, but now, yeah. Also, wait, the dream job, I would be a drag queen, damn it. But now I still can do that. If they took bio drag queens to RuPaul's Drag Race, I would love to get on Drag Race. If I could have unlimited budget for all the outfits that you need to buy to be on the show, oh my god, I would so get in there. Because I've got the skills, hunty, and I can work it out. I can choreograph some dances. So yeah, that would be my dream job. Alright, spray myself with the stinky Morphe spray. It's the one that continues setting mist and sweet peach. I just love the pronunciation. Well, I know why, but I love the setting mist, guys, but it stinks like chemically produced peaches that were harvested in Chernobyl factory, literally. Alright, let's do the same Bougie Natasha Denona highlight. Thanks to Teresa and Miss, I have this Bougie palette, so I'm gonna go for both of these. One of them is more subtle, the other one is pure glitter. Look at that glow. Ooh, girl. And the glitter on top. Ah! Oh my god. Oh my god, I'm living. Girls, Misa, Teresa, when you watch this, you are the best, because this is like everything, everything. Okay, so next I'm gonna do lips, and we're gonna wrap it up with the last two questions. So the last two questions, so I think I want to go with these questions in the order that, well, because it makes sense to me. So did you face any discrimination when you first moved to USA? And that's a good question, because technically when you think discrimination is minorities, but being Russian, I guess I'm a minority too. I'm gonna do ombre and lips. I don't know what I'm gonna do. So I had this Maybelline liquid lipsticks, so I'm gonna do some dark on outside, light on inside. Gonna go with the eyes, I guess. So I would say, I guess you could call it discrimination, but it's kind of like some people they have superior attitude, and when you speak not perfect English, it's hard to do lips and answer the question. I just noticed. So when you don't speak perfect English, I'll look down at you like an idiot, you know? I found myself in this situation because when you just move, it's hard to think in a language. Like when you speak perfectly, when you speak the language easily, it's when you think in the language, obviously. But first I was thinking in Russian. I had to translate into English and form my thought and form it perfectly, like in a grammar way, you know, grammatically correct, because I was always like a pain in the butt because I wanted to be like perfect. I don't know, not perfect, but you know what I mean. So sometimes if people speak to me and speak to me for a while, and then I would have nothing to say. Maybe I would just not have like kind of like just nothing to say. Sometimes you just have nothing to say in return. And this lady, I remember, she would look at me. You did not understand a word I just said, did you? And she did just the condescending look. Oh, like you an idiot. I said I understood you perfectly. I just have nothing to say. So yeah, the kind of things like that. Or when you work at the gym and people look at you as an immigrant, some people would look at you like you're low class, you know, like kind of, oh, you're dumb, or you're in a, it's like you inferior some way because she's a working, like, you know, office worker and woman, like some higher level job. And I was working as fitness attendant and people had that superior air about them. You could feel it right away. And just because you have an accent doesn't mean that you're an idiot, you know? Yeah, and that way there was discrimination. So I'm pretty much finished with my makeup because the lips are extremely difficult to do on camera. And I'm full of fallout all over myself. Anyway, so the last question is, you're gonna see why it's the last question. What is one piece of advice would you give to your younger self? And that's because RuPaul always says that at the end of RuPaul's Drag Race, when they're all standing at the finale and the last four queens are talking to their younger selves. Very fitting. Thank you, Rebecca. So, I would say definitely, and actually this is the same piece of advice I should give to myself now, because I'm just the same way. I would say to my younger self, please don't stress out about everything, about small things, big things. I'm a very anxious, stressed out person. Sometimes I think that everybody doesn't like me for some reason or another. You know, it happens. Like, people get in their head. I get in my head a lot, and I question things that don't mean anything at all. And I need to stop this, SHAT, but it's hard when it's just in your nature. So yeah, that's a piece of advice I would give to myself. That's probably my biggest fault, being very like a kind of an anxious person. So yeah, and also don't pay attention to other people's opinion about yourself. Like RuPaul says, what other people think of you is none of your business. And it's a very good advice. I have one more thing to tell you guys, so don't click off yet. So that's kind of not a question and answer, but it's like a big change in my life. Yeah, I'm really living for this look. I think I redeemed myself from the poo-poo platter of the other palette. So we're getting to the end of this video. I just have one thing to tell you guys, just to share. The reason one of my latest videos I said that I hope I make my YouTube channel a job, although it's not technically the only choice a person has, but I lately found out that I have permanent damage in my both knees and my cartilage is pretty much gone. And that was my job for 20 plus years. I've been a fitness instructor and I'm damn good at my job. I gotta tell you something. I'm not gonna toot my horn, but I've been doing real well. I had very popular classes. It's my passion and my job. I literally lived for dance fitness, for Zumba. That is my life. And it's like, just imagine myself not dancing, not ever teaching that, and not having connections with people. It just depressed me so much, and that's why I've been kind of not very active in chats. since September. It started happening in September and I didn't know what it was. We took x-rays. X-rays don't show anything, but MRI does show things. So I finally splurged for $1,000 on MRI. Almost 1,000 anyway. But MRI showed it. I'm glad I had it done. It needed to be done. And my cartilage is almost gone. It's so bad that they cannot operate. They have those, what do you call it, laparoscopic surgeries. But my case is so widespread, they can't even do it. So pretty much my doctor said, well, nothing we can do. I'm like, seriously? So yeah, I had to quit my job. I'm no longer a fitness instructor. It hurts, of course. I can't believe I cannot dance again. I cannot have my people, have those big groups of people I have so much connection with. It's so much love in dance fitness world, especially. I live for that, and there is no more. I can't do this any longer. So YouTube is the only thing that I love so much, because makeup is my second passion. I think my two biggest passions is group fitness, which is dance fitness, and makeup. And it's just for the creativity, the outlet of doing something like this or something more extreme like drag or face paint jobs. This is what I live for. So if I can make this channel work and like as monetization goes, like you have to have more subscribers and more watch time so you get paid as a, you know, to make it a full-time job. That's my ultimate dream, to have this, because you know, to be honest guys, I spend hours doing this, filming and editing, so this is like a full-time job. So if I get paid for it, I can make a living out of it. This is the only thing I can dream about now, because obviously the other thing is out of the window. So I'm gonna get PRP shots like next week. I'm filming this on Saturday night, and my PRP shot is scheduled for Wednesday. Was it Wednesday? No, Tuesday. So PRP is the platelets, blood stuff. It's supposed to help you heal. Not sure if it's gonna help like 100%, but at least gonna help me with pain management, and I can cycle. I can cycle on like a flat road, so like at a low speed and not too much resistance. So I've been cycling outdoors. At least I can still do that. But as a job goes, I have no job now. So my gym is opening now. You know, COVID is over in LA. Obviously, it's not, but I mean, the gym is opening. So I had to tell them, I'll give you my notice. Yeah, so that's the news I wanted to tell you. That's why I'm so super motivated, even more than before, to make my YouTube channel a job, like a real job. So hopefully I'll get there, maybe slowly, but I want to make this a living, you know, so I can be creating and actually making a living out of it. So thank you guys for watching. I hope I answered all your questions. If you have any more questions, I can do this again. It's fun. It's fun just thing to do. So to get to know me, if you guys are new on my channel, it's a good way. So as usual, please subscribe if you haven't yet. If it's your first time watching me and you're watching this extra long video, I mean, big thank you. You watched the whole thing. So subscribe. I upload 3 times a week, Mondays, Wednesdays and Fridays, and also go live every Monday. And I have Instagram, Twitter. I'm more active on Instagram. The links to my social media is in the description box. And I also have Patreon group. The link is also in the description box. Thank you all guys. Thank you all my patrons for your support. Thank you for being here for me. So thank you all for watching, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye.